Hey, we're going to Chicago Cycling Network. And today, as usual, it's going to be a treat. And normally I said my friend here, but again, we've never met until just now. We might have met in the metaverse.
I've seen you on Sheridan Road.
Yeah, we've probably seen
Plenty
each
of
other
times.
plenty of times, but we just never met. And it was made by a recommendation through one of the guys who I know in Chicago who literally, whenever he bikes, whether it's 200 miles, 100 miles, 2 miles, he's always averaging over 22 miles an hour. And his name is Peter Moon. You probably guys have seen him from Mud City. We're in the same group. We have similar friends. So, he said, I've been watching what you're doing. I like what you're doing. I said, you should come on the channel. He's like, no. I got someone that's way better than me. And he says, here, this is the recommendation. So recommended this, I'm gonna call him Turbo for now. You get it later on. And here we are. We trying to get things together. It didn't work out. And then literally I was on Zwift Cup, I think last week or so, and he's like, hey, I'm right next to you. And I'm like, wait a minute, who are you? Which because I didn't know his last name. And finally I saw him. It was a guy on his back of his jersey on Zwift, and it says Turbo. And I'm like, aha, there you are. All right, we're gonna get that started, okay, guys? But anyway, thanks for everybody who's been subscribing, supporting me, helping to step up, because you guys understand the assignment. It's been fantastic so far. I'm learning so much about people in Chicago. And it's really and truly, the more people I interview, it really come and make sense why Chicago is so awesome and how we're all connected through cycling. I mean, it's mind-blowing to see how many people are connected in this different ways, whether it's professionally. These guys go back to like 1965. These guys go back from when they were doing BMXing or whatever, but there's a strong connection. And the generation has just been helping to keep the sport going. We got some new people, different styles, but we're still here and we're still going. So today, guys, it's going to be good. We got a lot of like surprise questions that he didn't think I would even know about, but we're going to see. And notice that it says think, because it should be think, but I'm Jamaican, so we don't pronounce H's. So if you hear me say some stuff like that sometimes, please forgive me. I'm Jamaican, but I've been here a long time, almost all my adult life in the US. So guys, let's get the ball rolling. Introduce yourself and let's take it from there.
Sure. My name is Charlie Cunnick. I say I'm a amateur dad cyclist. I live in Winnetka, Illinois. And, I'm just trying to find good rides. And I'm always the guy who's going to wave back on whatever road you're on.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming out again. How's your day going?
It's good. It's every day is the same for me. Wake up super early, take my dogs out, chase my boys around, haul myself to work. Today I snuck out early. Don't tell anyone. And here we are doing this.
Did your wife know you snuck out today? Did she know?
Oh, she knows every moment of my every day because she'll watch at least some point of this. She's my number one supporter. And those who've been to the races with me know this, because at most races are my wife and my two boys, no matter where it is.
So now, hey, you can't beat having a wife as a big supporter. Fantastic for me and great for me, because that my wife is also a cyclist. I mean, I don't race, but she supports me, and I can always get away with a lot of things that a lot of people can get away with, because she's like, so she understands the assignment. So I can buy stuff when she's like, whatever.
Yeah, she deals with me waking up at 5:15, 5 a.m. on a Saturday morning. She deals with me suffering in a Zwift race on a Tuesday night. So she's all in on this mission with me.
That's good. And how the boys feel about that?
The boys are they're harsh critics of my performances. They like it when I do well, as I can see some medals back here. They love it if I can bring home some sort of trophy or medal for them. But usually the first thing they manage to say is, "Dad, you didn't win," which always feels good after 100 and something mile ride.
But you can say, "Hey, wait, at least I finished and I'm here and I can take you guys for some ice cream or whatever you guys want." Right?
That's usually it. I'm like, all right, now vacation started.
Yeah. So where you have to, what's it? You say you mentioned the age of you mentioned earlier before we started that you have a 6 or a 9-year-old. Where do you take them for ice cream in Winnetka?
Ooh, it's Grader's Ice Cream in Winnetka, right on the Park in Hubbard Woods, only because it's a few blocks from our house. There's concert in the park on Wednesday nights. We'll go over there. My younger guy usually gets a bag of chocolate, some gummies, and my older guy, cookies and cream all the way.
Gotcha. So that means you've gone to Bagel and what's the name of it?
Once Upon a Bagel.
Once Upon a Bagel.
Oh yeah, that's a local gem. Hot take here. The bagels aren't the best thing. It's the Mexican food that they serve that's off the charts.
Spot on.
Yeah, it's so good.
I've been there, and it was never for the bagel.
Yeah.
It's all the Mexican stuff I go there for.
Yeah.
So, hey, we need immigrants and we need Mexicans.
Yeah.
For sure. like straight up. Yeah, so that means you must be a fan of Green Bay Cycle then.
Green Bay cycling, I've been to a few times, but I go across the board truly. So here's one for you. I got into the Chicagoland cycling community many years ago when I was in school. I went to Northwestern, and at that point on Davis Street, 1027, still remember it was Turin Bicycles.
Correct.
And I worked at Turin Bicycles for 3 years. So I worked there through the summers. I was a sales guy. I can't say I worked in the shop because mostly it was inflating tires and handing out rental bikes. But that was my inroads to Chicago cycling and knowing some of the North Shore routes.
Oh wow, that's the connection. And how long ago this was? Like
this would have been mid 2000s. So I was there.
So that's when you got into cycling.
So my whole entry point, I was a swimmer. I was a competitive swimmer growing up. I swam all through college at Northwestern, and there was a dad on my club swim program back in high school who was a big time triathlete. He was a Ironman World Championships guy, and he said, "Hey, you can swim like crazy. You've got endurance. Why don't you hop on a bike?" And I started cycling. I got into that whole boom of triathlon for a little bit. I was decent except for the fact that also you have to run, and I run like a buffalo. I'm a terrible runner. But I always had this kind of sticking around with cycling, and I wanted to be more involved. And I found Turin, and then I kind of dabbled in and out of triathlon, thinking I could be good at it. And then I truly met the Chicagoland cycling community on an off chance one day. I was driving up 41. And on the side of the highway there up by Lake Bluff, there was some sort of a billboard or a signage that said "Ride with the U.S. Postal Cyclist." And I was like, and this is primetime Lance Armstrong era. And I was like, cool, let's go see if we can meet Lance. I didn't know what it meant. So I veered off the road and I met Robbie Ventura, who was the founder and owner of Vision Quest. And he and another guy, Dave Noda, were sitting there, and I pitched my idea of how they could make me a great cyclist. And I didn't have any money, so I don't know how they were going to, do this, but I could offer swimming lessons for their triathlon company. So I became their swim coach, and I tagged along for bike rides, and that was really the start of getting into cycling with it.
That's fantastic story. So you mentioned Robbie Ventura. So I heard there's a story of you getting paid in bike parts. Robbie and I had a great relationship, and I cannot say one negative word about him. He's one of the most motivating and energetic people I've ever been around. He'd be a great guest here in this hot seat. All right, Robbie, I got you.
Yeah, watch out. But yeah, there were many times where he definitely recognized the parallel of me wanting to get better at cycling and also need for equipment and then lacking of financial resources. So as a fully sponsored athlete at the time, he was like, "Hey, there's an opportunity instead of this month taking down a paycheck, maybe you could get a set of nice wheels." And I was like, "All right, let's do the wheel thing."
And plus wheels are expensive, and bike parts are expensive.
Exactly right.
So that was a good trade-off. So so I've been getting a little background story on you.
And you've done your research. This is impressive.
I know little things. So the other thing, so we're gonna get back to your whole cycling journey and other things, but I really want to get in your I guess I'll say career or your experience as a swimmer, because you swim for Northwestern. But before Northwestern, why did you go to Northwestern and not somewhere else? And you were like a D1 swimmer or something like that?
Yeah. So I found swimming at a young age. I was 9 years old. And I grew up in Iowa, about 2.5 hours west of here. And my parents were into sailing. They wanted us to become sailors. It was this whole thing. And I was this reckless idiot who just wanted to win a sailing race. And at some point, my mom pumped the brakes and she said, "Hey, if you're going to do this thing in the water, you need to learn to swim," which is, smart thinking. So I jumped in a swim lesson. It went well. And the coach essentially said, "Hey, we'll give you the fall for free because this kid's going to become a swimmer." And I rode that journey for, a while, right? I rode it all the way through college. I did pretty well in high school. I was recruited. I went to the University of Virginia for 1 year. Swimming took me there, and swimming pushed me away. It wasn't a great fit for me. And then, it was just serendipitous. I'd always liked Northwestern. I've got little kid warm-ups like of the Rose Bowl team in the mid-90s. I was always a fan of Northwestern. My sister had just moved back to the city. It kind of felt like a homecoming, and the opportunity came about. So I finished off swimming at Northwestern, and it was an exciting time. I always joke, I rode the coattails of greatness. We had some Olympic, future Olympians and Olympic gold medalists on the team. And I was one of the guys who was proudly in their shadows. And I went through the whole swimming journey. And then at some point I was like, got to get a real big boy job.
And what do you do now?
Right.
Did you still stick to what you studied in college and what you studied in college?
Oh no, no, no. So it's funny. I had an econ professor at one point that I begged and I said, "Let me out of let me out of this class. I promise I'll never do anything in finance." And here I am. I work in finance now. So sorry for that. Sorry to her for that joke many years ago. But no, right out of school, I spent 2 years in a contract role with the Department of Defense, working for the U.S. Navy, using my swimming skills and training guys in a program to learn how to swim to be Navy SEALs. So it was called,
wow.
yeah, it's called the Naval Special Warfare Preparatory School. And we were hubbed out of the Great Lakes Naval Station. And truly, we would get 200 or 300 guys to come into the program, and we'd teach them in swimming and underwater knot tying. People laugh about it, but truly we taught them underwater knot tying, and we do running and classroom sessions and leadership. After a 2-year kind of commitment to that, I used on the bike, here we go, a networking connection to get my way into this whole world of finance. So I started in proprietary trading and then a financial software firm. And eventually I'm now a relationship manager on a few big accounts for the parent company of the New York Stock Exchange.
Oh, look at that. It seems like it's, one, never say never, right? That's what you're basically saying now. And look how it's basically driving your career.
Yeah,
right.
It is.
And I can imagine that also your fitness from swimming is what's helping you to be this amazing biker. Because everybody I've spoken to so far is like, this guy's an animal on the bike.
You must be talking to slow people. No,
no, these are like some of the fastest of the fastest in Chicago. Like again, Peter Moan and like Andrew Van Til and Chris Bladen. They're like, oh my God.
Yeah, no. So I was into it for a while, and I got to admit, through that whole triathlon and cycling journey, I got pretty into it. And then, life caught up with me, and I was chasing career, and I got married and had a couple of kids, and I was working long hours. I was on a trading desk at a bank. And, sometime in 2017, 2019 kind of time frame, I was like, wow, I've left all of this fitness I once had behind. And I was about, from where you see here, about 50 pounds heavier than I am now. And I just made the realization I had to recommit to some sort of health and wellness journey. And kind of like behind us and next to us and all around, I had an old CompuTrainer that I got from Vision Quest. I threw it in our basement and I put an old TT bike on it, and I said, all right, I can do 30 to 40 minute bike rides and hope to get something back. And I begged, borrowed, and stole time, and I started losing weight, and that's kind of when the motivation occurred. And
so I'd have never thought of you as being a guy that was 50 pounds more than this. I mean, you look pretty as a connoisseur.
As it turns out, pizza and beer, they have rewarding effects.
This was after college.
Yeah. About 10 years out of school. And
you were like, you know what? Forget this. Time to go have some fun.
Yeah.
So it was part of that while having kids, or because I gained the sympathy weight when I was at my first kid. I went almost 200 pounds.
Yeah, it was long. I was well over.
No beer though. No beer, pizza. Just like the sympathy weight.
Yeah, no, I mean, mine was beer, pizza, and long hours at work. Honestly, when you take a 5:30 train in and you're coming home at 6:30 or 7 o'clock at night, you're eating 2 or 3 meals a day, some sort of fast food or something out, because you're constantly at work and on the desk. It just happened. I woke up one day and I was like, wow, we got to go for a reset here.
I hear you. So random question, because you mentioned about, you're in finance, you're Navy stuff. Do you know Sam Harris?
Sam Harris. Only through like weekend rides. We haven't ever like connected
okay,
yet.
Okay. Because he was one of those guys too who was into, I think, Navy stuff, or did something. He's in finance and stuff. So he was from here, but he's moved away. So I'm just checking because there's a lot of parallels and maybe some background connection that I didn't know about. So yeah, man. So now you're mainly into biking.
Yes.
Not much swimming goes on anymore. Just
there's a side bet going along with my older son. He's 9 years old. He's gotten into swimming, and he's showing tremendous promise. And I really rein it in and try not to be the tiger dad, being like, this is what you got to do. But it sneaks out every once in a while. We have a side bet that I told him that I turned 40 in January, that I would go to the Illinois Masters State Swim Meet sometime next spring and compete in at least one event. And, so I got to get back in the pool at some point and see what I can do.
But you better get a medal, though, because they're going to make fun of you if you don't get a medal.
No, I told him whatever event I do, I'm going to win. So he doesn't know that I'm going to game it and see who competes in the events and try to find the easiest one to win. But but dang it, I'll get out there and do it.
Hey, a win is a win. Okay?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So
if I'm the only guy in it, he doesn't have to know.
Don't you know exactly? You can come first, second, and third. You're the only guy.
That's right.
My father-in-law does that. He does these races where he's only person in the age group.
Perfect.
So and he always been like, hey, and
that's a win.
And I would say Cortado.
Yeah.
Never let the truth ruin a good story.
Yeah.
Nobody has to know.
Yeah, no, I don't have to tell him.
It's a great story. Yeah. So how many bikes do you have now?
It's a rotating stable, and if my wife watches this, I have to be careful with the answer. No,
you can say yes. You can say yes.
I've got 5 bikes currently, with a 6th on the way soon. So,
and what's the spread? Gravel, bike,
yeah. Bike? I've got one that I call Dad Bike, which the title should define it. It's a Surly Midnight Special. Got it at Max Bike and Goods in Evanston. And that's a flat bar with fat slick tires, a trailer hitch and fenders, and it's for doing dad things. Ride with the bike, ride with the boys to the ice cream shop, or ride it to Ravinia. That's Dad Bike. I have a Mosaic GT1 45 that I got at Velosmith. It was a NV show bike. It's pretty cool. It's bright green and orange sparkle. That was my kind of original true dedicated gravel bike. I have a, let me see I'm trying to think of what I've got hanging. I've got an NV Mog. So NV Mog is my purpose-built gravel race bike. And that's the one I've been racing on the last couple of years. And I would say that's my kind of current leader in the clubhouse, is my favorite bike, because I do everything with it. I've showed up at the Lighthouse Ride on Saturdays on that dumb thing, which gravel bike, Lighthouse Ride, bad mix. It's real hard. But I take that out 85% of the time.
Gotcha.
And then I had a sweet NV Melee. I recently sold it, and I built up what Lou at the Pony Shop, who built this bike for me. I think he called it a junkyard dog of a bike. It's a specialized SL6. So
disc or rim?
It's disc, but I got the frame from a buddy on a team that I'm on. I got the wheels from a Peter who's on Mud City with me. I cobbled together a random selection of parts I had. I look like a crit boy, even though I'm not, because I think I've got every level of SRAM on this particular bike. And there's a patch in the top tube where at one point it had an imperfection and someone put a patch over it. But this is my kind of like ratty group ride road bike for right now.
So if anything happened to you, it's like, all right.
If anything happens, I won't shed a tear.
Exactly. I like that. We only done 1 or 2 of those bikes. So if something happened to them, it's like, all right, cool.
Yeah. But it's a dog. It's a sleeper.
Yeah. I can take the parts off, and I can slap in a new bike, and
that's the thought process.
Keep on moving.
Yeah.
So you said you're not a crit guy. So if it come to like, crit, road, gravel, triathlons, what would be your favorite style that you like?
I've only fallen into this whole gravel thing kind of by accident. So as I got back into the cycling journey, and I was hopping on Zwift, riding, mindlessly in my basement, and a few buddies who, through this kind of Vision Quest group, after I got enough fitness that I knew I wouldn't get dropped by just like, amateur random dudes, I showed up at a few VQ rides and met a few dudes there, and everyone said, you've got to ride with this guy, Sean. And there's another buddy of mine, Peter, who gave me the wheels, was like, you got to ride with this old man hammer, Sean. He's such a freak. Sean Scott, which we already said, there's 2 of them in Chicago. And we went on a ride one day, and I was like, wow, he ripped my legs off and my heart exploded. And I was like, this guy is rad. And, he kind of served as like the surly old mentor, and I got a better bike, and he said, let's sign up for Unbound. He was doing the 200. I'm half the man he is. So I signed up for the 100. And, that was like, literally, that was the start of it. I just jumped in a random gravel race and said, hey, this is gonna be fun. And, I had other friends either who were working with me or kind of in the Chicagoland scene who were like, I'm doing Barry-Roubaix or Melting Man or some of the Michigan races. And it kind of just expanded to finding these random races. And for me, I know some people like Peter Moen, who we talked about, he can train endlessly, and, he's all about the process of training. And for me, like, I have to set a carrot out there. And if I set a race out there, that's what's going to force me to wake up early, or, stop having the extra beer, or try to lose a couple pounds. So I always just throw a few darts out there of races to go for, and
go for it. This is mainly gravel, so no crits in your future.
I have never done a crit. However, my coach has told me that he really wants me to find more races. So maybe I'll find one. If anyone has a suggestion for a nice, soft Masters 40 plus, now that then January is coming.
Well, you get
race.
to compete against Mike Lanyon.
I'll gladly ride his draft as long as I can.
Sky, I think Skyway is one that's pretty soon, and there's a bunch of other ones, and everybody do Chicago Grit.
Yeah,
used to be Intelligentsia.
Yep.
So that's you can pick one in Lake Forest.
People keep saying, what's the other one? There's something at the Autobahn that I have to try.
Yes, the one down in Joliet, I think. Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. That's a good one too. I've heard.
And I always, even though it's not a gravel race, I always Rough Road is always a fun event to do as well. My buddy Craig Patnode, he's an original VQ guy, also runs that event. So I always go to Rough Road.
I mean, I did 2 gravel rides, not necessarily a race, and I had a blast. As you can see, there's no gravel bikes here. I just because I borrowed one. So I did the Rafa 10,000 one time.
Yeah,
that was so much fun.
Yeah, it's intense out there.
And then I also did the Turkey Burner.
Oh yeah, fun race.
And that day it was probably one of the worst, where the wind like 60 miles an hour wind. I'm not even making.
Was this a couple years ago
when Chris Bain got blown off the bike?
Yeah,
do you remember that story?
Yeah,
I was there for that one, but I was just laughing because my goal was to go on bike with Cortado with my friends for the first like about 75 distance, a percentage of the race, and after that they said, okay, let's unleash the beast. So I rode it them and I waited and I waited. I'm like, all right, guys, it's my time. But at that point, I'm happy because they were getting frustrated because the wind was too much for them, and it was just like crazy stuff. And they're like, I'm not going down this path. I'm going to go straight because the map says if I go straight, I cut out a mile because this is stupid. I'm going back to the finish line, and it was a crazy, but it was fun. But never ever since then.
We'll get you into it.
I'm trying, but it is just like what DPRT and you know, and again with kids and stuff, it's a little bit tricky to leave my wife with the kids.
I hear you. That's why mine is. I'm lucky to have a supporter who comes along with. So
yeah, which works perfectly. And again, things are getting better, so we're probably gonna have more time to explore. And I can leave home for a couple of hours or when So it's gonna get better, but I'm still not doing no crits. I'm not doing that.
I hear you.
I live through my friends. Yeah. And I've seen what happened to them, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, I value my skin and my collarbones.
Exactly. It just take one.
Yep.
And get lights out. All right, man. So we've covered a lot, and I'm trying to get to know you on a different level beyond just biking and what you do for a living. But I want to get into some very fun stuff I learned, and this I learned from a friend of mine. So I said, ask you this question, and the question was, how did your father got the name Taco?
Wow. You do have friends. You have friends everywhere. I like this. So yeah, I have this very animated, family. And I mean, I think I've got this cartoonish spirit, which is probably why Peter Moan said that I should talk to you. I talk this much while riding at full threshold on the bike. I don't know what's wrong with me. It's just like I'm this blabbermouth. Some people hate it. But my dad is this big, lovable goofball who comes to almost all the races. And I'll say this, he's been to many of the Mud City team races that I haven't been at. He has Mud City flags. He'll go out there. He'll gladly, do a bottle hand up for people. He's just living the dream out there. He's originally, he's still in Davenport, Iowa. And when my eldest son, Theodore, was born, I think we kind of helped influence this, but my dad's a big guy with a big personality and a lot of spirit. And we were joking one time that every single Tuesday he would go and he'd get this big 10-pack of tacos. And we were like, oh, he's the taco man. So my son kind of started having this assimilation between him and tacos. And eventually he became Taco Man. And now it's just Taco, to the point that both of my boys, I don't think they know he has a different name. They call him Taco. My sister has a couple of young kids. They call him Taco. Most people in the cycling community who know him call him Taco. And even guys, I ride with a team in Michigan as well, and he'll show up to the races. He gives guys his phone number, and he's like, "You need anything? I'm going to be out driving around. I'll be your sag wagon. Just call Taco." So there's a whole contingent of dudes in Grand Rapids, Michigan, who are like, "Man, is Taco going to be at the races today?" So yeah, it's stuck. Taco.
All right. So if I see Taco, you've done a pretty good job with this guy. Yeah. I can sense his energy already. You did a pretty good job. Okay, Taco. And I mean, please forgive me, but Taco in this case don't mean Trump always chicken out. So please, please make the distinction. Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's I won't say anything else. Okay, please. I don't want to get in any trouble, but I had to. Bring it out. So you mentioned about Mud City. Can you let people know exactly what Mud City is about and what you guys.
Yeah. So as I was getting into this whole gravel situation, we'll call it 2022, we were all coming out of COVID and races were starting to happen. And I would show up to, like I say, Melting Man and Barry Roubaix and Coast to Coast. It seemed to be these disparate groups of, these middle-aged dudes all hammering each other in the middle of nowhere on gravel roads. And I found myself always with the same kind of lead pack of guys. And generally speaking, there'd be 3 or 4 people from X team and 3 or 4 people from Y team. And then I'd be this lone agent out there being like, hey, I'm out here, and they're all kind of having conversations and I'm a chatterbox. I need someone to talk to. Maybe, just maybe, we could form our own team. And there was a beautiful fall edition, actually, of Barry Roubaix, where this like really came to head because we were coming out of COVID. It was in the fall of that year. And I remember being in a group of like, literally there was 8 or 9 of us, and I was the only one who wasn't on one of the 2 teams there. And they were all sending attacks and all talking to each other and all had their motivations. And I kind of just rode along with it. And I was like, this could be a lot more fun. So out of these hammers, I'd met, these 2 guys, Peter and Sean. We formed a friendship on the bike. This summer, I actually looked up our first ride we ever did together, and I sent him a screenshot, and I called it the P&S North Shore Express, Peter and Sean. And they tugged me around for 50 or 60 miles. And we somehow got to chatting and we're like, we should do a adult men's gravel race team. And the whole thought is we could kind of find a group of us that would travel together, and you could, defer the expense, and you could all stay in a VRBO, and you could kind of make it like a guys weekend. People have their, their guys golf weekend, or, go to whatever they do. And we were like, let's do the bike thing. So the 3 of us got together and we tried to come up with a creative name. And then we sent back, 100 different, images that we came up with of what a team logo could look like and colors. And, eventually we settled on basically Chicago Bears colors, right? We were blue and orange. And then Mud City came about. We were looking at nicknames for the city of Chicago and kind of trying to have this kind of Chicagoland vibe going on. And it turns out sometime in the 1800s, Chicago's nickname was Mud City.
Did not know that.
Yeah, so here's your history lesson. It's before the Chicago fire, and it was all one level, and it was very marshy, and it was at the same exact level as Chicago River and the lake. Big rainfalls would leave all of the roads a mud pit, so they called it the Mud City. And we were like, gravel, filth, muddy, gritty. Why don't we call it Mud City Racing? So that was kind of
that's pretty dope, actually.
That was the birth of it, and we were all like, all right, let's see if we can sit here and text 2 or 3 guys who might show up to these races and also like some really sweet kit. I will argue, sorry, all Chicagoland, we've got easily the best kit and the best sponsors. So we worked it, and here we are a few years into it.
Gotcha. So now I know that, because I was thinking it more because you guys ride in mud.
Yeah.
But it has something
It has a Chicago tie in there.
By the way, I love the jersey for sure. And I'm a collector of jerseys. And if you know this, but I have a lot of jerseys from Chicago cycling clubs. And I told Andrew, and one day I'm gonna get one of these Mud City jerseys.
Hop aboard. We'll get you one.
Because I have 606, I have Evolution, I have OK Cycling, I have Plaza, Cortado, just name it.
So we need to get you one good one then.
I just add it to my collection. Yeah. Because again, as I said before, I like to represent my city.
Sure.
I probably will never get a Legion jersey because I'm not from California or wherever they are.
Fair. Yeah.
I'm a Chicago boy and I represent my city. If I leave Chicago, it's a different story.
Yeah.
But as of now, I like my jerseys.
I like it.
I like to represent one day. And I love, again, Andrew and Drew and all those guys and Chris, those guys are always, I think a couple times I've actually, been going on my bike rides, and then I saw you guys meeting at Tala to go and ride. I'm like, man, I wish I could go with them. Like, I don't want to
anytime.
I didn't want to infringe. I'm like, all right, never mind.
You got my number. You can find me on Zwift.
So now I know. So guys, the invitation is here. So next time I'll be out there, you might see me becoming like a serious gravel ride with Mud City jersey.
That's what I'm talking about.
But you guys are like next level. Like, and then again, Chris always lament about how strong you guys are. And Chris Bladen, he's something else.
Yeah, he hits a different level. I always joke that once we get to the Great Lakes Naval Station, there's that mile stretch right in front of it. Whenever we get there, he hits a different gear. He turns on his beast mode there, and all of a sudden we're like, all right, this is where we all get dropped for a hot second, but we'll catch back on. I don't know what happens. There's something in the air. He turns crazy.
Yeah, and Chris, there's also another place where Chris loved to go crazy, and is when we go through the fort and we go up Sheridan, we make the right turn at the light on Sheridan to go in the back street.
Yeah.
So you go there, you make another right turn again, that little stretch from the right turn to that really sharp corner.
Yeah.
Chris just takes off like a madman.
Down in the drops, hunched over.
And then you have to chase him. I'm like,
turns on the turbo diesel.
I know he's gonna come, and I wait, and I jump on his wheel, and then I just like I pop him, but but I know he's coming.
Yeah.
And then Andrew Van Til, always follow.
Yeah.
So after follow, and then we do our thing, and then we wait for the group at the end of that long crazy stretch there. So yeah, so man, we've covered a lot. So with all of stuff you're doing so far and the different race and rides, like what's like on your most favorite moment in racing so far?
You know, riding, like I said, I'm a chatterbox. I'm a social guy. I try to be, I think I think the Mud City website or Instagram or something says, like I'm the glue guy. Like I just want to try to get as many people out there. I'm usually the one in our team Discord being like, who wants a group ride? I'm trying to keep it going because cycling sometimes is hard and cycling sometimes sucks.
Yeah.
And we've got crappy weather and the barrier to entry is high always because time is a commodity and it's an expensive sport and you got to find motivation and, to go on the bike, you're stealing from something, whatever the something is, time with your family or time that you could be working or resting or anything, right? So my favorite collection of moments usually are just riding with buddies. Like that's when it's, that's when it's the best. It doesn't have to be some smash, fest and going out and crushing, which usually it ends up turning that because you got a bunch of semi-alpha males and all of a sudden you're like shouldering out. But you learn a lot about someone when you're out on those 2, 3, 4 hour rides and you become friends, you become good friends. And, I would say those are the ones that are probably, there's a few rides that just stick out where you're like, you had great conversation and you're having fun. And then they become inside jokes that live for years that you're texting about.
Yep.
Those are the ones. And then, racing, I can say specific races and memories too, but it's usually just, again, kind of like those random connections you make with people along the way, which is why that's part of the reason I'm still, kind of knocking around in the silly sport.
It's a silly, great, fun sport. Then it glues us together beyond, because when most of us, when we leave cycling, we all go to coffee shop. We all show up in the summertime at each other's backyards and hang out and go, hey, let's go have lunch somewhere. So it goes way beyond cycling. Like some of the guys is like my brothers and sisters now. And if something happened to their family, whatever's going on, we all know, we all call each other, we support each other on all different levels. It's like, if I don't see somebody even biking for a week or two, I'm like, hey,
what's going on there?
What's going on? Oh, I had this happen. I had surgery. Blah, blah, blah. I'll be back. I'm like, all right, good.
Yeah.
Just checking. That's actually one thing I still do. I hope the people in Chicago have messaged before checking upon them. Please don't think I'm weird, but it's just,
we're all a little bit weird. By
it's just a part of my upbringing where I see someone ride for a little bit. I'm like, hey, are you okay?
Yeah, it's all good there.
Yeah. Okay, good. Then we can move on from there. Yeah. With that said, so I know you've ridden many streets in Chicago. You're probably not like our friend Steve Huffner, who have ridden every single street in Chicago.
Yeah, I haven't done that.
He's ridden every street in Chicago. Everyone. So and when you go to pick up and do shady business, he's been
Someone sent me a screenshot of that and it just blew my mind. It's madness.
Yeah, crazy. But that's his thing.
Yeah.
So with that said, which is one of your favorite places to ride in Chicago?
In Chicago.
Or in the Lake Cook County up north somewhere.
Yeah, if you look at my Strava heat map, you could guess pretty much I follow the same roads. I turn my brain off. I listen to music in my headphone and then I just go. I really like leading, as you lead out of the fort, kind of leading into Lake Forest, you kind of like rip through like where the ravines are. It's fun back in there. It's just nice, kind of a nice change of pace, usually not too many cars. I really like heading, I do like the DPR, Des Plaines River Trail. And I like it on a late fall day when all the leaves have kind of changed, to that golden color. It's cold enough that there's no people out there. It's just you, and you can hear the leaves crisping,
and
like
the bike tire. Oh yeah, I know. I know that feeling.
That's when it's prime, and you kind of have to just appreciate the moment. You're like, I'm doing something cool right now. As you lead into Independence Grove Forest Preserve and out of there. That's some of my favorite area to ride. It's just a little bit sweepy and it's a little bit more fun to kind of cut through. And then if you're really willing to venture getting up north closer to the border on Dilly and Hunt Club, it's just nice up there because you can go long, strong rips without stop signs.
So you said Hunt Club and literally your bike and street could just jump in my books because Hunt Club Road is one of my favorite places to bike. you make a left, and this is like, I don't know, 8 whatever mile is, or maybe
Yeah.
more than that, all the way into Wisconsin.
Yep.
And there's just like rollers with one light, I think, at some major street. But other than that, it's just.
And I like, look, I mean, I'm always on the hunt for roads with, I don't need to battle with cars. I don't care about that, right?
They'll win every single time.
I don't have that machismo where I think I've got to, like cut it out with the car. Hunt club, they made it wider. There's a nice wide shoulder. I like finding a road with low traffic and a wide shoulder. That one happens to be blacktop, so it's nice too. And you can just go along and rip with your head down.
Yep, I love it. I love it. Anyway, so here's something. So before we started a couple days ago, I had checked his you can have a guys who use Zwift, right? I use Companion app. They give you a Zwift score, right, number. So he's an A rider, all right. So the last couple days that I checked it, I remember very distinctly, he was at 740 score. I think the maximum is like 1,000,
Sure.
right? Something like that, right? So I was like, man, you're 742. That's crazy. And he's like, let me check again. So he checked, and now he's at 812,
something like that.
812, right? So imagine, and that 812 literally was from one ride, which he did like, I think it has to be from your ride yesterday.
It was last night. I almost died.
Last night, yeah. And he almost died, but again, he's here. So cycles were like cats. And for any guys, he would say that he was holding over 400 something watts for like 5 minutes. That is next level. Okay. A lot of people dream about stuff like that. So you do a lot of you race on Zwift.
Mm-hmm.
What's the experience like on Zwift?
So I'll give you the backstory how I got into the whole Zwift thing, right? I mean, like all of us, I set up a bike like we're looking at in the basement, and I was riding along trying to find fitness. And then I did the Coast to Coast gravel race. So here's a shout out for that race. I did the Coast to Coast gravel race maybe 3 years ago. I've done it 4 times in total. But 3 years ago, right out of the gate, there were 3 guys who, it's a 100-mile race, broke away. And I mean, this is at mile 0. They broke away. And I was in the main pack, and I was riding right next to Robbie Ventura, and he said, "How you feeling today?" And I was like, "I don't know." And he's like, "Well, you feeling like you want to win, or you just want to get like 5th?" And I was like, I try to contest something, right? And he said, "Go chase those guys down. I know one of those guys. This is going to be the defining move of the day." And I was like, "Robbie, we got 99 miles. There's 300 of us, and there's 3 guys up there." And he's like, "All 3 of these guys ride for the same team. It's called Turbo. It's out of Grand Rapids, Michigan." And he's like, "You got to cover this right now." So I went deep into the well. I chased it down, and one of the guys, kind of gave me a fist bump, and he's like, "Wow, nice bridge." And we rode together the rest of the day. And, despite the fact we were hammering as hard as we could, I was carrying on conversation with him. And like I said, I like the conversation piece. We talked about the fact, came up with my wife and kids, and we took the ferry across the lake. And he said his family was at the finish line too. And we were just kind of chatting it out. And I didn't realize it was in the presence of guys who were on like esports world championship level teams. And, we kind of became buddies. I saw him in a race a few weeks later, and finally he dropped into my DMs, and he's like, "Hey, how about the fact you race with us in the Turbo team?" And I was just kind of getting this Mud City thing going at the same point. I was like, I don't know if I'm really going to do anything with the Turbo because I'm trying to get a team going in Chicago. And he's like, "Well, no pressure, or you could just do Zwift racing with us." And I got into their whole, their Discord and started doing Zwift with them. And I was like, I think I'm pretty strong. I learned very quickly that I was not strong as I jumped in with them. I mean, they had, like I say, 2 or 3 guys going to esports nationals, and a few went to world championships. And I was getting dropped like a bad habit. I still do. But, I've kind of slowly tried to work my way up in my minimal experience compared to them. You should see how seriously they take it. And, now we're in the, whatever Zwift A leagues, I think they call it, Zwift Racing League, whatever the heck they call it. And I got my score, I guess, good enough to be on one of the A teams. And usually that means out of the 5 or 6 of us who show up on Tuesday nights, that rates me as 5th or 6th on the squad, which is fine.
That's awesome.
Hopefully I can be a support role to the, the guys who are true freaks. And, they'll finish a 30-40 minute race at 5.5, 6 watts per kilo. That's not my program. I don't have that ability, right now. But yeah, I love racing with them, and I have to give credit where it's due. I'm going to do, admittedly, most of my off-road racing next year is going to be with Turbo. I went with them to nationals this year, gravel nationals, even though I didn't finish the race. My ride of mechanical. They built a pretty cool community in their Discord of a lot of guys, like you say, checking in on each other, trying to build motivation, having community-based Swift rides. I mean, we had like 12 or 13 guys on a Sunday morning this last week just doing a Swift ride for no reason, and open up a Discord, you're all talking, and it kind of just keeps everyone coming back and, a little bit motivated when suddenly we're all facing the same crappy weather outside.
Yeah. So now you guys get a reference why I call him Turbo in the beginning, right? Because he rides on a team called Turbo, which was the jersey I saw him on Zwift when he was right next to me. Like, who are you? Where are you? And he's like, Turbo. I'm like, Turbo. So, Rich, are you a big fan of the Pixar? Do your kids watch
Of course,
Pixar?
Of course. Yeah. No, we watched that. We watched that within the last week. The snail races the Indy 500. Yeah. And actually, my buddy Sean from the Mud City Squad, whenever I bring up Turbo, he sends me gifts with various things from that movie.
Awesome. So yeah, man, I mean, you're next level on Zwift. I am nowhere close to that. Plus, I'm way too old for that stuff. But my power is I can put down some watts for a little bit.
Sure.
And from my experience, when it is just doing a regular, not even a race, just one of those little tour thing of Watopia, whatever they have coming up. The first 5-10 minutes of those rides is like blood and sweat.
Yeah.
Because that's where they thin the herd.
Yeah.
And then once they settle, you'll be all right. But then you're gonna have a problem with if there's a bunch of climbs, I get dropped every single time. And I can't. There's no way I'm gonna be competing with a guy who is putting up my watts but weigh 130 pounds, 140 pounds.
That's my current thing, which is why I need to cool it on the pizza and beer sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, even like last night's race, it started out of the pens pretty easy, but then 3 minutes in, boom, there's a 5-minute climb, and it's 5 minutes at 5.5, 6 watts per kilo. And I'm just clawing to stay on the back of that thing, try to recover. And by the time I'm finally feeling recovered, boom, we're in the next loop and we do it again. And like, adios, amigos, maybe I'll see ya. And then by the third lap around, they were just gone. And it only takes, just a second before the elastic snaps and they're gone.
You can't jump back on. I mean, I've tried to jump back on some of the tails of the Zwift race, and I just cannot. You'll see 1 second become 2. Then all of a sudden look up again, 2 is like 5.
Yeah, that's what it was.
That's like 50 meters. Because every second is like 10 meters on Zwift, I think.
Okay, yeah.
That's my calculation. Yeah. I've been doing these calculations. Literally every 1 second is 10 meters.
Yeah, I mean, my wife was doing a workout next to me last night. She was on a treadmill and she heard me over there. And at one point she got off and looked at me and she's like, is he going to die? Like, is he cardiac arrest right now? It sounds like he might be.
That's what it takes. That's what it takes. How many miles since you've been biking, how many miles do you average a year?
Last few years I've done about 12,500, but I mean, keeping in mind that's about 30% Zwift, so Zwift miles are obviously a little overbaked. This year I'm going to be a little bit behind because
it's again, miles is one thing too, but it's also a comparison between quality versus quantity.
Yeah.
Because if you're really having like a set training plan to do certain things, then you don't need all the miles, right?
Yeah.
You don't need the time, but miles is important, not so much. If you do like 10,000, I think it's fine.
I'm in a kind of like, I usually go about 10 to 12 and a half hours a week is kind of like my
sweet
time on bike. And that's where I know I'm flying close to the sun, where all of a sudden I'm dropping too much in real life, whether it's, like family stuff at home and, work, whatever. And at some point when you're waking up at 4:45, I'm known as like the early ride guy. That's how I fit my time in.
That's me too.
If it's darkness outside and the world is quiet and you're riding in your basement, you're like, why am I doing this? Like, this is insanity. And then, you get the endorphins flowing and then it's fine. But yeah, I'd say 12 and a half. That's kind of where it maxes. I'm trying to creep a little bit this winter, just a little bit more where I can. But again, I have to know that when all of a sudden it's January and I'm like, I'm kind of sick of riding in my basement staring at my TV, I know I have to ratchet back just a little bit.
It's called Zwift fatigue. I get Zwift fatigue January, February, end of February, March. I get Zwift fatigue.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just want to get out. But I know I just have to basically just maintain, because I know once we get outside in April, and those young bucks come out of training, it's going to be like this old man need to be able to keep up with his kids.
Oh yeah.
Because Wednesday night ride, Judson ride, all these, with like Eric bike riding, the Filipino guys those guys been killing it. So at my age, I need the miles and the suffering.
And that's why I throw a race out there. Because then all of a sudden, I mean, usually I joked with, like I said, Craig at Rough Road and all my buddies. I'm like, Rough Road is probably, I mean, it's usually my first race of the year and it's my arch nemesis. I think, I mean, I'm either sick or like, not fit yet for the race every year. And I go in thinking, hey, I could do well. And then boom, I'm like, whatever, 27th place. And,
how many people in Rough Road?
I don't know how many he has.
It's a lot, but the 27 is pretty solid.
It's just a made up number. Who knows what the actual place is? Someone can fact check it if they want. But like I throw a target out there because then all of a sudden it's like February and I want to do nothing. And then I'm like, all right, well, if I don't start doing some sort of like threshold or VO2 level stuff right now, I'm probably going to die then. So this is the reason why we're doing it. So, that's why I say I throw those targets out, and usually I've got kind of like a few that I set mid-season and a few big ones end of season to kind of keep me going, through the summertime.
Gotcha. So I don't train.
Yep.
I just ride my bike.
Sure.
And many people said they don't want me to train because if I train, maybe next level, which they don't want me to get to. So if there's anybody that want to train somebody that don't want to be trained, I'm here. And I don't want to train because if I train, I'm gonna like not be with my friends because training is very strict. And I like to be with my peoples.
Sure.
I did the training stuff when I was a runner, so those medals, and I'd like not running my friends for quite some time, and I've achieved a lot of stuff with biking. With running. So now I just want to enjoy myself. But at the same time, in the back of my mind, I'm like, if I should train, can I go beyond what I'm as a cyclist now?
Yeah.
But no, literally, just like you, I bike from 1,200 to 600 miles for the past 3 years, 4 years. That's my goal because again, not a lot of experience on the bike.
Sure.
So to keep up, I just do a lot of high mileage and work out here and there, but I really wonder what would happen if I should train.
I think you'd be dangerous.
I'm thinking about it. Maybe in the new year, because the year is done. For now, for me, biking season is pretty much over. We're back indoors. Just maintain my mileage until the year ends and then see how things work out for January, February, if I go to race in March. So maybe January I might start doing like a training plan. I've done some of the training plans on Zwift, I have all those little things, but for me, it's all over the place. I do this. I just pick some random stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think. Look, I wish I had it in me to just go out and ride for enjoyment a lot more. And I do enjoy riding a bike, sure. But I think it's that kind of like masochist freak swimmer part of me in the background where it's like I have to have some sort of a plan. And I'm the type of person that usually like if you say the plan, I'll do the plan.
Right.
Or 95% of the plan, right? As best as I can. And that's why, I've joked with my coach before that, I need someone for that accountability threshold because otherwise, again, I will search for that wiggle room where I can and be like, oh, I'm supposed to do a 3-hour ride. Well, no one's watching me. I'm going to do a 2-hour ride. And maybe it's an hour and a half and I stop at Talo for a coffee and have a donut. And certainly having some sort of a training plan makes it so you're doing a lot more alone riding. I go out a lot alone, and usually it's interval days, but it's nice when, usually I try to send a text out to my buddies. I'm like, hey, I'm doing whatever, 3 by 15 minutes tomorrow. Does anyone want to go? And those are the fun ones because, sometimes you'll get someone to sign up and say, hey, yeah, I'll go out and we'll do as much as we can together. And, like my buddy Sean went out with me probably 3 weeks before nationals. It was one of my best workouts I've had in a long time, just by having someone out there saying, get going, pedal harder, do whatever you're doing a good job. And having that motivation of trying to stay away from someone, that's what it's all about, that little itch of competition.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I hope, hopefully one day I'll get into training or something, but let's see how it plays out. I just have no idea or really, I just ride my bike because I just like to ride my bike. I like to, I have all these bikes and my friends like, all your bikes are similar. I'm like, because I build all these bikes, by the way. All these bikes you see right here, I build them myself. Other than that one was built by Patrick Leader, but all my rim brake bike, I can put those back together like in 4 hours.
Yep.
All the parts, done. Let's go.
So you could use Zwift Racing for training too.
Yeah, I've
got like mini crits that are like 10 minutes.
And those would be like exactly what I would for me because I can, hold some watts for like maybe like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But after that I'm like, I'm done.
So they've got them like you just got to find a time frame when there's like sometimes they've got one on every half hour or on every hour.
So some of the tours, some of the Zwift, Watopia tour of Zwift, like some of the shorter races, I won a couple of those.
Yeah, do one, spin easy endurance, do one, spin easy
Yeah,
endurance, and all of a sudden it's like a kind of a
eight,
little
10, 8,
VO2.
10 miles.
Yeah.
I've won a few of those.
Perfect.
But then I'm not on Zwift for most of the year, and then all of a sudden my score like drop off by
Yeah.
like a lot. Like it's fine.
So
Whatever.
you can go abuse people who are less strong than you. That's fine.
Yeah, I start from C and then work my
Yeah.
way up. I do one C right, and also I'm back into B again.
Yep.
I think I've only hit A one time, and it lasted for like about 3 weeks because then I raced, put the watts out, and then I just didn't ride again, and then I'm back in B. B is good. I can, because if I'm in B, I can actually race A if I want.
Yep.
But if you're in A, you can never race B.
Yep. I've learned that, and then
So
that's why I'm a mid-pack guy. So it is what it is.
it is what it is. Yeah, man. So we have covered a lot about again your back. Just going to summarize your background. So you're from Chicago originally, or
Originally from Davenport, Iowa.
Davenport, Iowa.
Yeah.
And you've never done the Big Seven?
So I've cheered for the Big Seven a number of times.
I've done like 4 or 5 times already.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. So I grew up, my high school was right on the course. I've cheered for it a number of times. Like usually, like for us, there's like a summer after party right after it. And my uncle and family own a bar, and they have this whole after party and situation. But in the weeks leading into it, for people who don't live in the Quad Cities, I can't remember if it's Tuesday or Thursday nights, but they essentially close off the entirety of the course for like 2 months beforehand, every single Tuesday. And it's just basically a non-timed community run. And it's like I think they call it like the Quick Six or something like that. And where you could train it, once a week. So I'd go out there sometimes with buddies and do that. But as I said, I'm not a runner. Running is like my arch nemesis. I don't know how it's possible. My both feet are on the ground at all times. I'm running on my heels. It's just it's bad.
And then for guys who don't know, Brady, the Big Seven is literally 7 miles of hills. You go up, you go down, you come back up, you go back down. So
Yep.
I think the record for the course is like 31 minutes. For 7 miles.
It's insane. And there's huge prize purse, so they get literally Olympic level runners.
Yeah, I think my best there was like 48 minutes, which is
feels like it's moving.
It's all right.
Yeah.
With all the elevation.
Yeah.
I mean, you climb Brady Street hill,
Big
you
hill.
go
It's
to
like
the
a
top,
mile.
and everybody's just like, that's barfing.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it.
Yeah.
But you can make the run as fun as you want. There's guys doing, pumps. You can do beer keg, whatever stands, and whatever you want. You can do like a slide on the hillside coming on, and it's like it's just.
I could probably compete in the run a mile, chug a beer. I might be deadly in that.
Yeah. So traditionally, what we would do is we would actually go camping or stay because my wife is from Sterling, Illinois.
Oh God. Okay.
And then we'll drive in town, or we're camping, and we will basically do the Bix. Then we meet up at this I think it's called Brothers Restaurant, I think, somewhere close back to the Chicago, Illinois side of town.
Okay.
And then we would take the bike path from the restaurant all the way back to Chadwick.
Yeah.
In Illinois, because my friend Ray, he has a big, owns like 600 acres of land, and then we have a barbecue at his house.
Oh, fun!
And this was like a tradition for like 5-6 years, but then COVID and all sort of. But we still try to get a few. But that's what we do. Big Seven, then ride our bikes, have breakfast, and ride our bikes like 45 miles back to Chadwick for a barbecue.
I love it.
Awesome time.
I've threatened with a few of my buddies before that I think it'd be a really fun day to do ride across Illinois, but just like not an organized route. But I think you could easily start down by Joliet. You could get on, whatever that trail is right by the canal path there, and you can ride that all the way past Sterling.
Hennepin
Canal. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then
those
from there,
streets, I know those places.
And then connect there to the Quad Cities, because from there it's only like 40 miles away.
Yeah, because you could take Hennepin all the way back into back towards close to Mississippi, and then just jump on, make a left, and take the trail all the way back to Quad Cities.
That's exactly right.
I've done all
less cars. Throw on some big slick tires on the gravel bike and just roll.
Even 28 would be fine.
Yeah,
I've done that. Man, we have kind of similar biking streets. Like through Clinton, Morrison, Savannah. Those are my streets.
Yeah, that's where that's
Cordova.
That's the land at the Cordova time trial. I used to do that back in the day. That's all the roads that Luke Guyton of the Big River series or Mississippi Gravel series does, right? With the turkey burner, that's one of his. 1904.
In the clear. Yeah. And I went to drag racing for the first time in Cordova.
There you go.
With my family. That was pretty awesome.
That's a slice of Americana right there.
I was like, yeah, buddy, look at me. See all those big horsepowers and like this is,
Yeah.
it was fun times.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I've done the city stuff and I've done the out in the boondock stuff.
Yeah.
So if you bike in some of those places, you might see my name on the Strava board
I love it.
because a lot of people don't really take those comps. So I gotta go come hunting sometimes.
So there's a Cordova 40K time trial. It's been going on for like 25 years. Like I say, I did it, when I was in high school. And I see a TT bike behind us. So you should find your way out there. It's not too far from the track. It's a perfectly pan flat. I'm talking like 10 feet of elevation over 40K time trial. And you can just rip that sucker. So you got to go do it.
All right, I'll. It's on my.
How about this challenge? You do it, I'll do it.
All right, on my bucket list.
There we go.
As in the words of Allergy, booyakasha. Let's do it.
I like it.
When is it? When is it?
Usually, I remember it being warm, so it's by July or August, but I don't know exactly.
Good time. I should be peaking by then.
There you go.
And I don't mind the heat. I can ride in the heat anytime. I'll say, I'm Jamaican. I'm built for the heat, not for sleet.
No,
So,
I like it. I need to get a TT bike before I do it. So that's gonna be a whole other problem.
I mean, I have this bike. I hardly ever ride it, but it's just here, and I'm like, one day I'm going to use it. So I keep, because I really want to do Ironman Wisconsin.
Oh, okay.
As my wife did that, and I want to add a medal somewhere up there. She's like one of the dopest person I know, but yeah, she does it. So I want to.
Can you swim?
So when I was in Miami, I didn't bike. We used to do the Max Cycle Trilogy series.
Okay.
And I was either the swimmer or the biker.
Got it.
So I can swim a little bit.
Nice.
And then one of the guys who actually helped me out with some swimming is the coach for the FIU swim team.
Oh, nice.
Randy Horner. He's a good friend of mine.
Got it.
And
cool.
he's like one of the best swim teams in the US.
Sure. I love it.
So I
love it.
That's one of my good buddy. We talk to him like all the time.
Yeah.
So I can swim a little bit. And I've been swimming since I was like 3. I'm Jamaican. So
I mean, I see running pictures over here, running medals. I mean, I think you're there. Let's do it.
I can hold my own in the water. A lot of people are surprised. I'm like, I can swim since I was 3 because in Jamaica you grew up in the ocean.
Sure.
And the older boys will be like toss in the water.
Yeah.
Swim out, get out. If you struggle, they'll get you. But of course, so by the time we're 3, 4, you go to like the rivers and the ocean.
Yeah, you're
see
always
kids.
there.
You see little kids like this big. How can they like? Where are your parents? But we have like a 16, 18-year-old guy there.
Yeah.
We're taking care of.
Sure.
We're all swimming around, playing tag in the water, and doing all sort of madness in Jamaica.
Yeah, I love it
as a kid. So it's crazy. But yeah, I can swim. I can hold my own.
We're gonna call you an Ironman soon. I love it.
It's gonna happen. It's just I would love to do it with my wife. And the problem is because of her kids now, she don't have the time to do what I can do. And
time, it's a commodity.
Her schedule is not as flexible as mine.
Sure.
So that's one of the reasons too. So yeah, so what's your any big major plans coming up, racing wise? I mean, you got rough roads, but
I mean, yeah, that's usually like the season opener. So I go to, for the last few years, I've gone to Steamboat Gravel, and we make that a family vacation. So you're picking up the theme that my wife and the boys come, and we kind of always centralize it around because, again, we both work and they're in swimming and school, and you're trying to find times where you can maximize everything. So we go to Steamboat every single year, go 2 or 3 days before the race, stay for 4 or 5 days after the race, and I become a cyclist for exactly 5 hours of that week, and then I go right into full dad mode. So I disappear, I go ride my bike, and I cross the finish line and I look at these people who are, usually having a beer and like just doing nothing for the rest of the weekend. And don't be worried. I do have a couple beers and a few margaritas as well. But I go into like full dad mode. Like this year, the day before, we did a 4-hour ATV adventure ride, literally the day before. I wouldn't advise it. I was sore. I was breathing in dust. And like the day, literally 2 hours after I finished this year, we were doing like a river float down the rivers and whitewater rafting the next day, and we pack it in. So yeah, we'll be at Steamboat this year. Actually, the guys I race with at Turbo, I think we've got like 8 or 9 people doing it this year. So it's going to be a fun kind of group, and a lot of guys will be bringing their families, it's always a good time. Big Sugar, I was supposed to go this year, but I deferred it off, so I'll go next year. Gravel Nationals, same courses this year. I've got to go back and seek revenge. Like I said, I had a mechanical this year. My bike stopped shifting, and there's something like 8,000 feet of climbing, and it stopped shifting at like mile 55.
Di2 electronic shifting?
It was SRAM, and I think the coin cell battery and the right shifter died. I don't know what happened. I wasn't having a good day anyway, so it was an easy choice to be made. I was having a poor day, and my bike stopped shifting, and I'm sure I could have stopped at neutral support and put a battery in and suffered it out, but my mind was already gone. My family was a few hours away, and they were in like an apple orchard or something.
So did you yell the famous Shram phrase?
No, I didn't. I just, like I say, I mean, at some point, you know you're in the race or you're not. And like while I was in the race, I was also actively thinking, hey, my family's a couple hours away, and I don't care about this on this day. Like biking isn't my thing right now, and that's fine.
Yeah, you know, of course. Like, we have those days.
Yeah, I'm cycling is probably 5th priority, 6th priority in the long list of, you know, everything in life. And I just balanced it away and went off with them. So yeah, gravel nationals, Big Sugar. I wish my all-time favorite race. It's a small one in the UP. We talked about the UP earlier. That's called the Moran 166. I think it's the greatest race ever. It took a year off this year. I hope that's not the death nail. I hope it comes back because I will for sure do it.
Nice. And if you go to the UP, you have to get some UV lights and take the boy hunting for the rocks. I just showed him the Uper light. You have to. It's one of the funnest things you'll ever do with kids. And when you find a rock, it's one of the most rewarding things you will ever experience.
Yeah, walk,
boom. Because you're like walking for like, we walk like, all the stuff I showed you, it's over 10 miles of walking.
It's crazy.
Okay? Yeah. And the crazy part is you walk down a beach, stretch of beach, shine light, and then find a rock. But on the way back, you find one.
Yeah.
You're like, where you come from?
Yeah.
I just walk by here.
Yeah. Where'd you pop on?
Exactly. But it's very rewarding. Yeah, man. So, I mean, as we, you know, I've learned so much about you, you know, from, again, Mud City, swimming, taco. No, hey, I know the word taco, know where it comes from. Anything you want to, as we wrap up, anything you want to leave us with as we, you know, like what keep you going? Yeah,
I mean, what keeps me going is, like I say, the competition and the, you know, the latent cheers from my family when they're out there. Because even if I, you know, when they say, "Oh, Dad, you didn't win," I still love getting to hand them, even if it's participation medal. They're still out there cheering for me, and I want my kids to know that like you can be 40 years old and still have the grit to want to try to get out there and do something cool and different, compete. But then it's all the goofy people you meet along the roadway, right? Like you show up, like I say, I don't care if I'm in the middle of a death interval. If you're riding by me, I'm always going to give some sort of a wave. If you're right up next to me, I'm always going to chatter and have some sort of a conversation. And, you know, I like to just kind of meet people and hear their stories and how they got into it. Because cycling, to me, and I say this to a lot of people, is one of the highest barrier to entry sports there is. Because, you know, you say, I want to be a cyclist. You're like, all right, well, you're clearly a middle-aged dude with a life crisis going on. But like, all of a sudden you want to get a bike and you walk into the bike shop and it's not $500.
Exactly.
And you're seeing something sitting there for $18,000. You're like, oh my God, do I need that? Because that's what the guys ride in the Tour de France. So it's an expensive bike. And then you need this ridiculous outfit that you're standing in spandex. And then you need these sunglasses that make it look like you're an astronaut. And then you need this cool helmet. And then all of a sudden you need special socks. And oh my God, I have to shave my legs now. I would tell my wife I'm starting to shave my legs. And then you show up to your first group ride and it's a bunch of these like super alpha males who have a permanent tan and veins popping out of their legs. And some of them yell at you because you're not doing it right. And I'm like, like, what is going on here? Like, we're just a bunch of dads who have real jobs too.
What my depth, but
yeah, it's like, so like, I don't know. I try to make it a little bit easier than that. And sure, I'll show up to those rides and try as hard as I can. But also, I'm cool just going along with the ride and having a conversation. And I hope other people are like that. And I hope if you see me wearing whatever kit I happen to be wearing, you know, give a wave, make a U-turn. I'd love to ride with you.
Yeah, awesome, right? Guys, and if you see him, you can just nickname him Turbo Charles, right? So he'll go to him. So, or you can call him Junior Taco if you want. I don't know.
Taco Junior.
Taco Junior.
I have a colleague who learned that he actually met my dad when I took him to the opening bell of the New York Stock Exchange, and he met him. And, you know, he learned that my dad was called Taco, so he calls me Taco Junior, and I call him Burrito. So it's a whole, I guess it's spreading. I'm turning into a character.
Wait. So you were actually, when they ring the bell, you're actually one of those person out there, the bell ringing? Or?
I didn't physically ring the bell, no, but like I said,
you're in the crowd. Like behind.
My company is the parent company of the New York Stock Exchange. So yeah, that's just going to the office for me. So it's
pretty
come
awesome.
to New York, we'll take a tour.
And I know the streets of New York because I have some siblings that lives there.
Oh, nice.
From Legion Street in Brooklyn.
Yeah, very cool.
I know those places, and I know people from Kingston, whatever, Jamaica, some Heights or whatever.
In Queens, yeah.
In Queens, I know all the places.
Yeah, I love it.
And my son is actually in opposite New York now at RIT
Yeah.
doing his bachelor's as a first year.
And here's a hot take: New York cycling is a great scene.
So I've heard.
Central Park laps are great, and you can find plenty of people to rip your legs off if you want.
And it's even more awesomer on Zwift.
Oh yeah.
Because now they have all these new routes.
Yeah.
On Zwift now in New York, and the routes are. I mean, you're kind of somebody riding above when you're looking down, but yeah, it's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, if you hit Central Park any morning of the week that it's relatively warm, it's closed off to cars, and you can get in groups where guys are going literally like 30 miles an hour, and you're like, what the hell is happening right now? This is absolute madness. And then you just get out of the draft. It's almost like Zwift. You just get out of the pace partner's draft, and other people cycle in, and it's fun. It's fun.
All right, so maybe one day I can go to New York and ride up there, and maybe we can meet, do the tour, go to the stock exchange. We can go for a bike ride.
We have a whole weekend planned here. Look at this.
And I got peoples in New York, a lot of peoples.
Yeah, we can have all our peoples. Your people meet my people. We'll do a
people thing. We'll do a people thing. This is awesome, guys. Guys, it's been awesome. We learned a lot. We've met Charles here. Or you go by Charlie.
Charlie, yeah.
All right, so Charlie, Turbo Charlie, we're going to call him. All right, so guys, if you see him, don't be a stranger, okay? We have people like Charlie in the network, and we've learned a lot about him. And again, this is why Chicago is so awesome. And this is why I really enjoy doing what I do, because not only am I learning about new people, but I'm helping to let people know that, hey, we have these amazing people in the network, and we should not be a stranger to them. They should be a stranger to us. Because we're a bunch of mammals, or I know there's womils or mammals, middle-aged, but there's also the female version of mammals too. I forgot the name of them. But we're all here and we make this thing work. It's amazing. Some people have expensive inexpensive bikes, but we all make it work. Whether you hear me say MIPS or no MIPS, look up that word, MIPS. You guys will learn something from today. But we make it work and we have fun while doing it. And thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you.
I learned a lot today, and I'll see you on Zwift, and I'll be a cheer.
And you're joining us for we already said you're joining a group ride. We're going to go to CJ's Donuts in Zion. We'll have fun.
I brought my wife there on her birthday. She loved it.
Oh,
that was her birthday wish for this year was to literally ride 100 miles.
Yeah.
Just up to the border and back, and we did it on her birthday, and she was so happy. And on the way back, I said, "I got a surprise for you. We went to CJ's." And she got a free donut because of her birthday.
Oh, nice.
So that was awesome. And on top of that, too, we camp a lot in Zion.
Yeah.
In the beach. We camp over there.
Yeah.
So she knew all the roads. And that was
What's your donut? Awesome. What do you get there?
Oh man, I like the apple. The apple.
Like the apple fritter thing?
Yeah. That's my favorite. Because it's not too sweet, not too.
Yeah.
But it's like.
I know cherry fritter, guys. I'm a maple all the way. Maple donut.
All right.
Since youth. You heard it here. Maple donut.
Maple donut. Okay, guys. Until we meet again, guys. As I was come to an end, keep the miles and smells going. Until we meet again, guys.